Well, hello. I'd like to welcome you to another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This is the show where I talk about the fountain pens and inks that I've been using throughout the week. And this is my post-laryngitis edition. I hear a little bit in my voice, but it is basically back to normal. Last week was quite the struggle, and so was part of this week. So don't get what I had. If videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And I don't really have a good topic, but maybe I'll come up with one while I'm talking. So feel free to leave a comment down below about anything. So the pens. First, I have an almost empty vintage Aurora 88. Which has been my daily writer the last 2 weeks. I didn't think it would last through this week, but it did. Cavaco V101. Reform 1745. An Ero-Matic. A Parker 45, which might be the next. I have to look at the ink level, but I want it to be the next pen that I use to be my daily writer. Another Parker 45, which formerly masqueraded as a Pevdi. Hungarian make. A Kaweco V14S. Hopefully I can get this filmed before it runs out of ink. A Esterbrook J Transitional pen. A more traditional Esterbrook J, which may end up spending a spell as my daily writer. For reasons you'll see. And an Ooly, which probably should spend a spell as my daily writer, even though it's a slightly different class of pen. As always, I'll be recording this in my Bomo art journal with a seafood flavoring. Alright, my first pen is a vintage Aurora 88. I just love this pen model. One thing I used to disconcert me when I first got one, I have two of them. This is actually my one that's in better condition, but I like the nib on the other one better. But I'd always get ink on myself, and for a long time I thought it was leaking out here around this trim ring. But then I finally figured it out. When I cap it, I get ink all over inside here, and then it just kind of migrates around inside the cap. I think you can see that this pen is almost empty. It's actually been a very successful daily writer experience when I've been more careful about capping and maybe, not pushing on the cap as far as I may have before. And you can see it is a very nice writing. Let's get this bookmark out of the way. It is a very nice writing experience. And I did a video about black ink a few years ago. Aurora Black is a very nice black. It's supposed to be a very black. That sounds really strange now that I say that out loud. Very rich, dark, deep black. There we go. One that probably would not have a lot of shading. Well, it doesn't. Aurora has a very limited selection of colors. It was very exciting a year or so ago when they finally came out with blue-black. But I don't like them for their ink. I like them for their pens. I was just showing you the finial there. It's a solid black, which is I don't remember what the code means, but it's a code that tells you what type of nib is on it. Now, this is a Cavaco V101, a very recent first impression. First impression. I have several of the Cavaco V pens. They're uniformly very nice. The Kaweco V14S is one of my favorites. It doesn't have this kind of softness. Now this just has a very soft, very nice nib. The ink in it is Callifolio Aurora. I did a video not too long ago, because whenever I do first impressions, I always fill from the bottle, and somebody was asking me about these triangular bottles. Callifolio uses them. Diamine also uses them for their certain special edition of their inks. I don't own one, so I'm not recalling off the top of my head what it's called. But anyway, I like Callifolio inks. They have nice colors. They're supposed to be vintage friendly. They clean out of the pen pretty easily. My next pen is a Reform 1745. Nice classic green pen. I had a comment recently that all these green German pens look alike. Well, I don't think so. This one's quite different from the next one you're going to see. This one has a steel nib. And this is a student... Oops, and I almost wrote it where you couldn't see it. This is a student pen. And it's a vintage pen you can get quite reasonably. They were pretty common. And this is one of those classic inks. Iron gall. And I recently bought some galls, oak galls. You know, because when you live in North Dakota, you just can't walk out to the forest and find one. I'm going to do a video. I want to put it together over the upcoming holiday break and talk a little bit about iron gall inks. Who knows? I may get brave and even try some chemistry. But this is just a nice series of inks. And some of them, this isn't one of the more exciting ones, although I do like the color. Some of them have quite a nice color change. This is a Ero-Matic pen, which I've learned, I'm not going to do it right now because it's full of ink, but I have learned that this nib unit can be unscrewed and replaced, which I find interesting. So, of course, it's an Ero-Matic. This has one of those brands of ink you don't hear a lot about in it. Rohrer and Klingner. I will admit, I don't care for their black. I thought I would, but it's too blue for me. But they have some other colors that are very nice. They had a special edition aubergine ink that I thought was wonderful. And this is a very nice green color. It's very different sort of a green from the one I just used. And they're just very nice, well-behaved inks. And they also have, 2 iron gall inks in their series. I have a Parker 45. This was given to me some time back. Somebody found it at a yard sale. And I was a little curious how much ink I had left, because I was thinking, ooh. Now it doesn't pick up well on camera, but that is, whoops, just about empty. So, yeah, you know how I said I might use it as a daily writer this coming week? Changed my mind. This has an extra fine gold nib on it. And I just realized that what I wrote down is in it, which is supposed to be Parker Quink Black. That's purple. Oops, you can't see it again. That's purple. I think, so I'm going to go back and change it. I'm pretty sure this is Pelikan. because I feel like I may have been comparing two different kinds of violet. Let's just go back a page or two. That's the benefit of doing this. And then yeah, it is. This is back when I had some contamination in the pen, which has now been fleshed out by writing a fair amount with this ink. So, since it is writing in violet, I could do it. It's a nice muted color that I probably could use as my everyday writer type of ink. I've thought about doing stuff like that. I was reading about an author who switches back and forth between two different colors so he can track his writing. And that wouldn't be a bad color to write with. My next pen... Oh, furnace is going to come on here in a minute. Then it's cold, so I'm allowed to use my furnace. Next pen is also a Parker 45, but with a steel nib. I purchased for very low cost. I purchased a steel broad nib to put in it, just for something fun to do. Oh. And that actually does not surprise me, because I'll tell you one of the things that's happened with this pen is it likes to come uncapped while sitting in its sitting in my pen case. And then, of course, the nib dries out. I'm not sure why. It just doesn't seem to stick as well. I'm guessing, it's older plastic. It's probably just gotten a little swollen or misshapen somehow. So probably not a pen I should be carrying around. So this is Callifolio Violet. I wouldn't trust the color representation on that one, since the pen was uncapped for an unknown amount of time. So last week's maybe is a little more... Well, actually, they look pretty close. Oh, this is 2 weeks ago. Yeah, because last week, my voice was so bad, I just decided to, I'm going to upload another first impression. Good thing I had a batch of them ready. If you ever get into YouTubing, you should keep a batch of videos ready, because life happens. Viruses happen. Voices go bad. You get asked out on a spontaneous date, Can't use that excuse, but life happens. Oops, 16, not 14. And a few people mentioned this is just a much nicer pen. I think I forgot to give it its twirl than the Modern Sport. Just a little bit more elegant. I have another Callifolio ink in it. And I think this is a very nice shade of red. Kind of a muted red, but just so nice. Which brings me to my Esterbrook Transitional, which, I know I need to do a video on it, just for historical purposes. But the thing with Esterbrook's, I take this nib out, put a different nib in, I've got a different pen. That's one of the things. Just like that Ero-Matic, you could change the nibs in these things. So this is a medium kind of stub type nib. One of the nibs that I like a lot, of course. And the ink that's in it is Platinum Classic Cassis Black. Not doing the dramatic color change it did when I first filled it up in the pen, but I think the ink is beginning to oxidize a little inside the pen. You know, it's those latex sacks like what this pen has aren't totally airproof. Nice color. I have a Esterbrook J pen. Main difference, has some finials on both ends. They're not decorative at all. This has a relief medium nib in it. So I'm holding this at an angle because it's a relief means oblique. So this is a regular Esterbrook J. The nib on it is a 2, whoops, that's an ugly 2. 2314. And the ink in it is Lamy Black, which was the winner of my whole black ink series I did, or black ink video I did a couple of years ago. But I discovered along the way that I like a lot of different kinds of black ink. And it even reminded me of my old favorite Parker Quink Black, which used to be the only ink I used. And finally my Ooly pen. It was given to me by my students. I think I had too many O's there. So Ooly, and it's just whatever black cartridge is in it. I had some suggestions regarding cleaning out the fiber feed, so once I run through this cartridge, I'll try them and probably syringe fill the cartridge with something else. It was skipping there, but I think that was my fault. So those are the pens and inks that I've been using throughout this week. I had a couple things come up in the comments, and that's one of the good things about having this interactive YouTube thing. One of the bad things is once the video's out there, it's hard to go back and edit it, whereas with a blog, I could go back and edit and then put a note down below that, hey, I changed this line because of this. Can't do that. I either have to take the video down or put stuff in the video description or a pinned comment and hope people notice. One of the things that came up, I did a first impression of a Chica pen. You may have noticed I've changed its pronunciation because I was pronouncing it Chica. I did not remember what nationality the pen was. I went with Soviet, but it turns out it was a Bulgarian pen, so I was corrected in the comments. Of course, Bulgarian uses the same Cyrillic alphabet as Russian, but I don't think Russian has that little extra accent on the letter that looks like a backwards N. I don't think Russian uses any kind of diacritical marks. So that should have been a clue, but it wasn't. But yeah, Bulgarian pen, so that's kind of fun. Having the Pevdi turn out to be a Parker was a little bit of a disappointment. But on the other hand, I do have an actual real Pevdi on the way. So that'll be fun. It's definitely on the slow boat from Hungary, but it'll get here. As far as other exciting things, I'm just trying to think. Well, the holiday break is coming. I'm going to do some pen restoring. I've got a Romanian Flaro. I've almost got working. What I really want to be able to do is take it apart. Haven't quite figured that out because there's a few little issues with it I'd like to solve. It'd be a lot easier if I could take it apart. I have a Centro pen, a really old one made out of ebonite. Definitely needs some work in the... Well, they have kind of a captured converter, and you look at them, and on some pens those screw out. Others, I think they're glued in, and this Centro pen, I'm pretty sure it's screwed in, and I don't know how to get it out and fix it. But the reason I want to is that the cork or whatever is in it is no longer holding a seal. So, yeah, neat little challenges. I could go to Grenat Pens for a lot of great ideas about vintage restoration, but his interest is more in pens that he can restore and then sell at a profit. My interest is more in, wow, that's kind of weird. Nobody else has that one. I want it. So, so he doesn't have much advice for me. So I'm researching it. I know eventually I'll run across something. But anyway, it's just you find such wonderful pens sometimes. Sometimes you find pieces of junk. But I filmed a video. It's not published yet. It'll be published eventually. Of a Rex pen. It was actually a part of a 3-pen set. Got it pretty cheap because Rex pen. But it's got another one of those amazing Bach vintage nibs on it. And just a very nice pen. I enjoy that. This Flaro, okay, we won't rave too long about it because there's not much to rave about, but interesting. Romania had their own pens. Somebody's asked about other countries that I'm interested in. Well, of course I am. If I ever found an Albanian pen, I'd be interested. Any of those countries in Europe or elsewhere. Like I've said, an African pen or a South American pen would be cool. I did find, I haven't found one on eBay yet, but I did find information about an is it Argentinian or Argentinian? Argentine? From Argentina, pen manufacturer anyway. So I won't share its name so nobody else is out searching for them. But, because I want to grab it if I find it. But yeah, I'm going to, I want to add that. So that'll get South America crossed off my list. I'm not so much interested in a Parker made in South America. But, I do have an Australian pen that's theoretically on the way. It's a modern pen. It's, I haven't heard from the pen maker in a while, so I'm getting a little nervous because it's been months and no communication. It's one of those Kickstarter campaigns, and I'm hoping no communication means that he's frantically trying to finish all of his orders, but I don't know. Just checking the time. Oh yeah, let's restart the camera here. This camera has, because it's a DSLR, it does have issues with running too long with video. But anyway, so yeah, I've got an Australian pen theoretically on the way, so I'll be interested to try that. Probably, well, it won't be my first custom-made pen, but maybe my first custom-made pen made custom for me, because I have that Ethan pen that was made by one of my students who's now graduated. But it was more like, oh yeah, I want to give this away. So, yeah, this one it'll be interesting anyway, if I ever get it. So, other than that, I don't have anything too exciting to add. Running a little dry on topics tonight, I guess. I'm filming this a little later because I was busy with things, and including shoveling snow. That whole, it didn't snow today, but that whole, not driving to work thing, I don't really think about the snow till I'm looking at the car and thinking, oh, wait, you might be driving that here in a day or two. And I was home in time to actually shovel before it was dark, so there is that. So, yeah, a lot of fluffy white stuff tomorrow. Temperatures tomorrow will be in single digits Fahrenheit. So, Celsius, that'll be down in the negatives. Well below zero. Other than I have to walk to school and walk back, because I am proctoring the ACT tomorrow, it'll be, I'll be indoors, so, I won't be freezing. And that's the other reason I wanted to shovel the snow tonight rather than wait until tomorrow. Because it's a lot more fun to shovel when the temperatures are double digits than when they're single digits, or when they throw that little minus in front of them where you're getting minus and then 2 digits. That's real joy for shoveling. That's when shovels start breaking. But anyway, I'm rambling, so I want to thank you for watching. And if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And if you want to bring up any of the topics I talked about, maybe you can suggest some exotic brands to me. I'm all ears. I'm not so much into the collector's pens. I'm more into the lesser known ones. Although I do have a weird fetish for German pens that, like Kaweco. So anyway, rambling again. I shouldn't have filmed this so late at night, but anyway, I want to thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.